Hi, Samira.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Better now. It's a beautiful, beautiful day, and I'm excited. It's early in the week, but I'm still excited to get things going. And I'm really excited to talk to you because we've been waiting to do this for a little while since we got connected.
Woohoo. I'm
Yeah.
excited to tell the story and, be questioned by you. You've been doing this for years now. So, learning from, an expert.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. So, hey, that's a great place to start. Let's start with the story, right? So,
Yeah.
I definitely want to get into Fetch Fits and you, but I know there's these moments in your own life that inspired you to do what you're doing today, Samira. I know you had some college experiences that kind of shaped your own approach, I guess, awareness of some of the problems that you're trying to solve. So, let's start a little bit there. Let's just start with that story.
Yeah, of course. So, a little bit about me for those
Mhm.
that don't know, I'm Samira Francois. I'm a first generation Haitian American a proud product of an immigrant.
Nice.
I am a Boston College grad. I'm class of 2020. And just to be quite frank, I had to Google everything. That's
Yeah.
one thing about being first gen, right? How to network, how to
How
build
did it
credit,
work?
how to show up in rooms where I didn't see anyone that really looked like me. I
Mhm.
was the first to go to college, first to go to corporate, and now first to build a company and start a podcast. Nothing was handed to me. And sometimes if there's not a seat at the table, you got to go ahead and make your own table. So,
Elbow your way in there.
yeah,
Right. Yeah.
one way, shape, or form. So, um, yeah, I would say that's me at very high level.
Mhm.
But I would have to say though, growing up Haitian American, they tell you go finance, be a doctor, be a nurse, be a lawyer. So those career paths seemed the path to go.
Yeah,
If
eminent.
if that makes sense. And
Mhm.
so essentially, I went to BC. I studied finance.
Okay.
And found my way in the rooms of Goldman Sachs. Mind you, I have no idea how I ended up there. There was kids that were wearing suits to class, and they were saying, um, they have to get an internship at Goldman, JP Morgan, and I had no idea. Deloitte, I had no idea what they were talking about, but they were like, this is how you make money. And I was
Right.
like, okay, well, I need to find my way in those rooms.
Mhm.
So, essentially, I squeezed my way in. I did a diversity program my sophomore year.
Mhm.
I networked all junior year. I found my I just squeezed my way, fought my way into Goldman. Then I transitioned, worked at like KPMG. I was a consultant, wanted to do more consumer facing. So really, I would say a heavy corporate background.
Nice.
Um, but I just felt like I I didn't want people to tell me what to do,
Yep.
one, but I also felt like there was a big problem, which we'll get into it shortly. But I felt like there
Right.
was a big problem that I personally was meant to solve.
I appreciate that, so many women that we've had on this show, Samira, they follow a very similar path as
Yeah.
you have fallen, right? Followed, I should say. They
Yeah.
come out of college, they think that there's all these expectations around what they should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. A lot of it is cultural sometimes. A lot of it comes from family. A lot of it comes from what you see around you. And even if you don't look like the people you see around you, you still feel like I need to fall into those sort of patterns. And I've met so many wonderful women, present company included on the show, who did the corporate thing, but then realized there are bigger problems out there that I want to solve that I'm probably, no offense to my current situation, but I'm not going to be able to solve it in my current situation. I need to break out of that current situation, right? And
100%.
and it sounds like you followed a similar path, and really that's sort of where Fetch Fits was first born, I guess, conceptualized.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Before I
yeah,
even get into that, actually,
yeah.
this brought me to a story that
Sure.
just came to my mind. I feel like I was always meant to be an entrepreneur. I do
Mhm.
think that not everybody um like being an entrepreneur is different than a corporate job, like a
Yes.
9 to 5. And mind you, kudos to both careers. Like
Sure.
entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's
Mhm.
hard, it's lonely versus corporate. It's stable. You know what you're going to do. It's a 9 to 5. And if you want to stop at 5, that is your prerogative, right?
Right.
Entrepreneurship does not have that strict deadline and you have to keep showing up. But I'd like to preface when I was even in high school, I started a nonprofit called Spoken Society, and it was
Oh,
pretty much
cool.
it was like the idea came about like I'm not sure. Yeah, a lot of people know about the humanitarian crisis in Syria. And
Mhm.
I just felt like my peers couldn't even place Syria on a map. So I
Yeah.
was like, I want to create this society where we show the younger generations like what is going on, real issues.
Mm.
And I would say that's kind of how I started this nonprofit my senior year. And believe it or not, my freshman year, Richard, I had this idea that was close to TikTok. It
Oh,
was called Whirlix. And I felt like I was like, why isn't there a place where people can just have videos, like a social media
yeah. Short
platform?
clips. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I felt like the only way to start this app. And this is why I feel like it was so amazing to meet you and just what Difference Maker is. I felt like Boston College didn't have those type
Program
of
like that. Yeah.
resources. Yeah, for entrepreneurs, I thought that I had to drop out of school.
Hmm.
So I kid you not, this story never been told before. I submitted a withdrawal form my freshman year spring semester, that's winter break. And I thought,
Okay.
I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go to San Francisco. Me and my co-founder, we're going to go to San Francisco, and we're going to code this app ourselves. So
Wow.
I was sitting on it for such a long time, and believe it or not, my mom did support me.
Sure.
But being the first to go to college, being the first to get into an institution like Boston College, I felt like I had to. I actually unwithdrawn. I
Yeah.
went to the dean's office and I was like, I can't do this. I need to come back to school. My co-founder ended up pursuing something, but pivoted.
Sure.
But she went ahead and did that. She was a student at NYU, but I just, that even goes to show, like, sometimes even with culture values, and that there is that like hidden weight that you feel like, I felt like I wasn't able to even start my entrepreneurship journey until now, after I've had like
Yeah.
5 to 6 years of corporate experience and finished getting my degree. So that's also
Yeah.
a testament for other women too.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, number one, for the exclusive. I appreciate it. Really do. We don't get a lot of exclusives around here. Or sometimes I get exclusives, and then the founder calls me and says, "Hey, can you edit that thing out that I just told you?" So I appreciate
Um,
the exclusive.
yeah,
But secondly, I understand too, Samira, the sort of the first. I was first generation college myself, right? I understand the first generation weight of, you feel like this is an opportunity that I have to make the most of, and I have to see it through. And I also appreciate what you're saying about having 5 or 6 years of that corporate experience under your belt as you went out into your entrepreneurial journey. Now you can take some of the best and brightest things from the corporate world and apply them, can't you?
yeah, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
now I'm in tech sales, and when I tell you the storytelling, the value selling, that goes right into how I demo my product, how I put myself out there and even
Right.
network, right? There is a science to networking. And
Absolutely.
trust me, ladies, you are not the only one that isn't obsessed with networking, but we have to do it and we have to put ourselves out there.
I reached out to someone the other day, and of course I'm apologizing for the cold email and all these things, and she came right back and she was like, "Richard, I love a good cold email. I love the confidence and the bravery that goes into that." So I'm with you, Samira.
Yeah.
Young people, send that email, right? Don't worry about it. Just send it. Just get
Yeah.
it out
I always say, and just a saying that I live by, you miss all the shots you don't take. And it
there.
costs $0 to send an email or to message somebody on LinkedIn or go up to them. It costs $0. And like,
Right.
maybe they won't receive you, and that's okay.
Right.
Like, you
And
have
maybe
nothing to lose.
you'll be a little embarrassed, but no one, as my mom always said, no one ever died of embarrassment, right? You
I
just
love
move
that
on.
one.
You just move on, right?
100%.
It's absolutely.
100%.
All right. So I want that sort of one sentence explanation, Samira. Tell me what FetchFits is, because I'm fascinated by what you're
Ooh, that's a really good one. It
doing.
is a peer-to-peer Airbnb for college essentials.
Nice.
And yep, that's pretty much it in one sentence.
That's it. Perfect. So how's it work?
So how does it work? It's pretty easy. You come on. I would like to preface too what the problem is
Yes,
before
please.
I get into how it works.
Yes.
And what inspired it. I was a broke college student balling on a budget. And now I may have a bigger budget now, but I'm still balling on a
Still
budget.
falling on a budget. Yeah. Just a slightly larger budget. Yeah.
A larger budget, but again, balling nonetheless on that budget. Essentially, when I was in college, working several jobs, um, even my freshman year, there's a lot of things that you need, right? You
Yeah.
need a
All
fridge,
the
you
time. Yeah.
the mini fridge, you need the microwave, you need the twin bedding, and you need the mattress pad because you'll kill your back in college. So you need all of these things, and all of these things that is like even first year preparation.
Yeah.
I think I can, like, on average, people spend about $1,000 on average. And I believe,
Sure. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
just the average number,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you're getting the straight basics.
Right.
So if you want, like, the cutesy stuff, which, as you're a freshman coming into college, you want to get all the little extra, the pencil holder, the little things to make the room feel like a
Sure. Yeah.
home, the
Yeah.
light,
Yeah.
etc.
Your makeup case, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And it was really hard, right? Growing up, first gen Haitian American, my mom provided a great life for us and she
Yeah.
did what she could, but it wasn't easy, right? She she did the best. And so during that first week, I was also like getting really just panicked because I felt like I didn't have everything and I had to get it gradually. But the biggest thing here is when you move from dorm to dorm, because they do have you move after every single
Sure.
year.
Maybe freshman housing to upper class housing or yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. And then sometimes you're like, okay, I want to go off campus, right?
Right.
So the thing here is, what do you do with all of these things? And I've interviewed several moving companies where they say they throw out 300 to 400. This is just mini fridge. This is just a mini fridge stats every single year. And imagine on every campus, these things are just being thrown out.
Right.
And if I put this in perspective, I was a girl freshman year. I worked 3 jobs. I was working at Bloomingdale's. I was working at Apple. I was babysitting. I was doing everything to try to
Full
afford
class
these
load.
things.
Yep.
Exactly, a full
Yep.
class load. Exactly. So just a full-time student, also pretty much working full-time. And I just felt like we are in a student economy, and we all have this stuff that we either throw away or just goes to waste, or some people, they do end up selling on a Facebook marketplace for like very cheap. I figured, why don't we just rent each other's stuff out? Like we
Nice.
are all collecting these stuff, and it's a very short-term items for a short-term time, like a short-term time frame for
Yeah,
these
could be like 12 weeks, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
So essentially, that's kind of where this idea came about. Because I even remember skipping events because I felt like I didn't have the right outfit,
Outfit
or
to wear.
maybe
Yep.
yes. And I don't know, Boston College alum, anyone that's listening to this, I was in the Newton campus where there was no AC.
Oh,
And during
Lord.
this summer, I was telling you, it was like I was sweating bricks.
You're from the islands in your hot.
And mind you, I am from the islands and like living in Florida, growing up in the humidity, but it is different than I feel like Boston heat. I don't know what it is. It was just very hot. So even having to go out and buy a fan, I was like, oh my goodness, this is an additional cost. And mind you, I needed this fan freshman year, but when I went to my sophomore year upperclassman dorm here, there was all of a sudden there was AC in the dorm, right? So that fan, have no idea. I can't even tell you till this day what
Where it is. Yeah.
So that's pretty much when it hit me.
Yeah.
We don't need more stuff, but we need access. So
Sure.
pretty much FetchFits is the plug for student to student rentals. Again, it's the Airbnb for college life, powered by student couriers. And I built what I felt like I needed. But now I have my younger sister. She's a student at SMU, and she is going through these exact same problems.
Sure.
She's coming from this twin bed situation. Now she's an upperclassman she's a junior now. And what happens? She's going to live off campus. She now needs queen bedding. She now needs all of these additional.
Maybe a larger refrigerator, whatever. Yeah. Yep.
Actually, believe it or not, the mini fridge that we bought and the microwave that we bought, the apartment that she's going to has all of this stuff.
Perfect. Apartments usually do furnish those.
Yes.
But so many other things apartments do not furnish, right? Like you said, I need shower curtains, I need towels, I need this, I need so many different things, right?
Exactly. So what happens to her mini fridge? Does she throw it away?
Hopefully not. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So this is what we're working to solve here.
Well, first of all, shout out to SMU. My uncle actually graduated from SMU. So yeah, so we have that in common. Yes, so shout out to Dallas and SMU. That's really great. So you mentioned all the interviews that you conducted, Samira, and all of sort of the validating things that you heard from students during that process. But as you kind of work through then your feature development, the decision to add in the fetcher delivery program, the concierge program? How did that come up? How did that sort of evolve?
That's a great question. I want to start off with customer discovery and how that really played a big decision.
Sure.
One, I would like to say too, the name FetchFits, it was fetching outfits. So I can already tell you this company has evolved because it initially derived from I love to wear different outfits. I love to look fashionable. I like to look cute. And I was like, how can I solve this problem for
R-
everyday
Right.
girls? So I know there's brands and companies by female founders like Rent the Runaway,
Sure.
like Newly,
Yep.
but one, I didn't feel like it fit with my style and the
Sure.
college
Yep.
demographic, and then the price point as well. Also, I'm like, if I had
Wasn't
to
where you needed it to be. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
$200 a month. I was like, that's kind of
That's
steep for
expensive. Yeah.
a college
Yeah.
student.
Over
So
$2,000 a year. Yeah.
exactly. So
Mhm.
just doing like I did over 75, like just going onto campus and I had a mic and I was interviewing students. And pretty much this is the things that I was hearing. It's like
Yeah.
I spent $200 on a dress. I only wore it once
I
to
wore
send
it to
report home.
one semi-formal and now it's in my closet. Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly what they said. Like
Yeah.
this textbook I've been lugging around since freshman year, right? And mind you, we're all buying the same books for the
Yeah.
same classes.
Sure.
I don't have items to rent, but I'd 100% do deliveries for extra money. So
Yep.
that brings me to the courier option
I love
today
it.
in this society, especially, mind you, down to my 12-year-old brother. So, fun facts about me, Richard. I am a product of seven. I'm the eldest of
Woo!
seven. So, like their second mom, down to the youngest, who is 12 years old. And what I can say is, even down to my 12-year-old brother, they very much value convenience.
Yeah.
They value convenience. And I can tell you, this 12-year-old boy, he orders DoorDash like no one's business.
Well, A, he can't drive, right? And yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that goes to show too on the college
And he says,
campus.
when I need something, I want to be able to get the thing that I need, right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And you know what? He is so savvy and he's a built-in entrepreneur. He realized he likes this stuff. He started a snack business, but not your average snack business. This kid, I don't know if you saw Saratoga water go viral.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. With
Yeah,
the people plunging their faces into it. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
This kid went and bought Saratoga water, cases of it, and he was selling them $15 a pop. Okay. During the school year, this kid was making a ton of money. So he is definitely an entrepreneur at
I love that story. You and I are a little bit different in generation, but I had a kid on my bus who, on the school bus, would sell candy for a markup because he was like, look, I'm in a situation where this is a captive audience. They can't
yeah,
exit the bus until,
exactly.
and they want candy. And I have candy, and I'm going to sell this candy, and I'm going to sell it for a markup. Like he was like, I look back on him, he was like 10 years old,
Yep.
11 years old. What an entrepreneur at that time to like
Yep.
buy the candy in bulk and resell it on the bus to a captive audience that was willing to pay a surcharge.
Yep. My brother did that. He sold candy, Saratoga water, honey buns, anything that you could think of. He was an all
I love it.
inclusive service. So, maybe my mom breeded entrepreneurs.
I guess so. Something. Absolutely.
But I would say that goes with our Haitian culture and just being resilient.
Yeah.
So I would say that's a testament to that. But just bringing back to just convenience and why we brought student couriers,
Yeah.
that
That's
we need to make extra money, right? So
yeah.
I pretty much took the Uber model, and because everyone loves Uber Eats, everyone loves DoorDash. We figured, why not? If you want
Yeah.
to make extra bucks, you can go ahead and pick it up from dorm A and drop it off from dorm B. It's a way for you to make extra buck, and in the terms for the person that is renting the item, they're able to get it fast and convenient.
Sure.
But we also do have a handoff feature.
Mhm.
So since it's on campus, you're able to go to, let's say, the cafeteria to meet up, and
Yeah,
you
like a neutral location. Yeah. Yeah.
correct. So you
Yeah.
don't have to pay that fee if you don't want to.
Or maybe if you don't feel comfortable with that for whatever reason, right? You
Correct.
can a lot of people feel more comfortable in a public setting to do an exchange like that maybe than
Yeah.
inviting someone to their dorm room or whatever, right? So that makes sense. What I really appreciate what you're doing, Samira, though, is you're creating something for everyone within your organization. So you have the sort of like item to item exchange or item to item rental. But then, if you don't, like you say, if I don't have something to rent, I can still get involved as a courier, or I can still get involved as an ambassador, or I can still get involved in. So you're creating like this very complete offering, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, I know the problem started off to solve like the problem I had, right? It's not
Right,
that like I wanted to buy things. I couldn't afford to buy them, right?
right.
But the problem doesn't just affect students like me and that were once like me. It's a sorority girl that's maybe cycling and churning through outfits for events. It's the wealthy student that maybe have excess of things and it doesn't mean anything to them. And they're like, you know
Absolutely.
what? Like
Yeah,
I might as well, I can make an extra couple bucks. I might as
yeah,
well just do that because it's just sitting here. Or maybe it's the broke student that, and I was once that I had no items to rent, but I want to make some money doing some extra deliveries as a fetcher. I'm able to do so. So
yeah.
I feel like it's an economy and a circular economy that
I was just
involves
saying that it's very
everybody.
circular. Yeah,
It
it's
involves
very.
everybody, but
That's great.
it's
It's
a
very
pain point.
circular.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
pain point that I feel like it's really missing. I just can't believe that they don't have this in college already,
right.
especially on how much money we buy just excess of stuff.
Right, excess consumerism. I was actually speaking to a student yesterday about excess consumerism because it's a problem that
Right.
she's very concerned about. I was thinking about our
Mm,
conversations up till this point, Samira, and of course the little online research, low key stalking that I did to figure out, a little bit about you.
yeah,
And
of course.
some words came to mind when I was looking at all the things that you're doing. One of those words was sustainability.
Mm,
Another word was affordability. And the
mm,
third word that came to mind was inclusivity. And I
mm,
really feel like those are values that you are ensuring in what you're doing at FetchFits, Samira, and how in what you're doing in terms of the circular economy that you're creating. You're not just like talking points around sustainability, affordability, inclusivity. These are part of your design, part of your culture. Is that an accurate sort of interpretation?
Yeah, I 100% agree about that. I think the ultimate dream is to impact, um, hopefully, not just the college market, but everybody and beyond.
Yeah,
But I do believe affordability is key. I think most students don't have hundreds to spend on
sure.
outfits or extra stuff, but they still want to look good. They want to feel good. They want to have these things,
Absolutely.
especially in the age of social media.
Mhm.
So we make it possible by being able to rotate either their wardrobe or their stuff at a fraction of the cost, but also like people and Gen Z in general, they really care about the planet.
Sustainability,
They
yeah.
leads with charge with the sustainable consumption and just
Mhm.
secondhand or rental. It's like the new badge of honor.
Yeah.
So we're really giving them that solution that it really aligns with their values without compromising
Mhm.
on their style or compromising on the stuff that they have. But
Right, right.
I would like to add inclusivity is just a non-negotiable, right?
Yeah,
FetchFits it's built to really serve all students, no matter their size, their gender identity, their background, their
nice.
socioeconomic status,
Right.
because self-expression and just being able to have access
Mm.
isn't one size fit all.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And again, I really continue to kind of believe that these are things that you're not just putting to college campuses, you're expanding this. This is going to be an expanded ecosystem. I can see it already starting to develop with what you're doing, and it will move beyond college campus because I believe of the core values you have of sustainability, affordability, inclusivity. I really think that is going to happen for you, and I certainly wish that for you.
Thank
But
you.
before we talk about your expanding ecosystem beyond college campuses, I want to talk about the University of Miami. I want to talk about what
Ooh.
you did there, how you approached that launch strategy. I know you worked with a sorority partnership. There's a lot that you did. I'd love to hear the U Miami story.
Yes, I mean, and we're going to continue to do. I
Mhm.
think that's the biggest thing. And I would say with every business, there's some pain points, right? And there's like, and I think the pain point that I would say investors are saying to me is if you're successful at the University of Miami, who says you're going to be successful at
Yeah, yeah. Georgia Tech.
Notre
Yeah,
Dame,
yeah,
Georgetown? And I
yeah.
think that's the biggest challenge that comes to this. One successful strategy doesn't mean it's going to work elsewhere, especially
Right.
on campuses, because there's
Sure.
different ecosystems everywhere.
Mhm.
So I think that's something that I'm learning. Again, I have no there's no real blueprint in how to
I
do
was just gonna say playbook. Playbook is what came to mind for me. You said blueprint. I was thinking
Yes,
playbook. There isn't one, right?
we're
Yeah,
figuring it out as we go. So,
right. And
University
that's
of
okay.
Miami, yes, starting a partnership with one of their it girl sororities, and I
Mhm.
don't want to like say the name, but
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, we don't have
yeah,
to say the name.
but just giving them first exclusive access,
Mhm.
co-branded events, so really able to activate our Fetcher ambassador program. So also, another strategy we're actually going to do this fall, which I'm really excited about, is sororities partner with a fundraising aspect. It's something I really love about the
Mm.
mission behind sororities. They all of them have a fundraising and like they all have a goal. So we're having a listathon, and we are doing different Greek houses,
Ooh.
and they have to whoever lists as many items, like and whoever which house lists as many as possible. First prize winner, we're giving 2,500. Second prize winner, we're giving
Oh, cool.
1,500. Third, we're gonna give $500. But it's a way to really just get kids excited and also really play into also their fundraising aspect. I think that's a big thing. And I know you mentioned like we mentioned sustainability, we mentioned inclusivity, we
Right.
mentioned these things, but also I'm really about giving back any way, shape, or form. So it's really important that aligns with our mission and everything that we're doing. But I would say our launch strategy really built some FOMO because if the it sorority has is doing it, why aren't you
Why,
doing
yeah,
it?
like, why are we doing it? Like, why they're not better than we are, right? Yeah, and this inherent competition between them that you can tap into, right?
Exactly. So having early access code, doing these collabs, this was seen on campus moments. I mean, we're seen on campus also interviewing students, giving gift cards. So they're like, it's kind of like, I want it
I
too.
want a
So
piece of that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I would say a lot of just word of mouth. Believe it or not. I know I was gonna say when I first started entrepreneurship and even like, I don't know if we'll get into this, but like being a podcast host as
Yeah,
well. Word of mouth goes a long way. And I know
huge.
when I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, why does everyone say this? But there is a lot of power when someone speaks about you and feels like you're giving them value. Um, it as no one, and I don't know if people realize this, a share, a like, all of this goes a long way.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Being you and I are both podcasters, we know that in order for people to learn about the show, it is all going to be word of mouth, right? I don't have this amazing advertising budget. I don't think you do as well. So it's got to
Ball in
be
some budget, Richard.
it's got to be viral. It's got to be organic. It
Yeah,
has to be like word on the street. Those types of conversations, word of mouth, like you said. If someone reposts, I love getting reposts or likes or comments that I can then comment on, keep the conversation going, keep the engagement going.
yeah,
Absolutely paramount. I totally agree with you.
yeah. 100%. And it's just there's a lot of power in just people banding together.
Right.
Um, I have to give a small shout out because we're talking about sharing.
Right.
Shout out Invisaware. Um,
Sure.
it's a safety woman device. So all you have to do is double click here if you're in danger. And the reason why I take a moment to do this is as a female founder, um, and as a first gen woman of color.
Mhm.
It's hard. You don't I'm figuring it out as I go. There's no one
Sure.
else in the family that's done this, but Raja Abdelaziz, the co-founder, she's taken her time to put me under her wing. And she has reminded me on a daily basis. Because half the time in entrepreneurship, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I suck at this. I'm figuring it out. And she reminds me and she's like, no, you were built for this. You can do this. And
Right.
believe it or not, those words of encouragement keeps me going. So
I love that. Well, shout out to Rajesh. Shout out to Invisaware. We are
yeah.
huge fans of her and what she's doing and how important her mission is as well. So I love that you mentioned that. You mentioned a second ago, Samira, Raja, others say, you're built for this. You can do this. You got this. I talk to a lot of Gen Z women. I talk to a lot of Gen Z women who are on what I would call the precipice of entrepreneurship, but
Yeah.
they're scared, right? They don't feel like they have that blueprint or they feel like they need a blueprint. You've been at this for a while now, right? And I'm not going to ask you the dreaded if you knew then what you know now question, but I am going to ask you
Mm.
a little bit about maybe that nickel advice or 10 cents worth of advice you're going to give to that Gen Z entrepreneur who is, like I said, standing on the precipice, but she just won't take that step?
Um, I would like to start off that fear is normal. I
Hmm.
can tell you, I have it every day, and I can tell you it's very like you have to push through that fear and
Yeah.
that doubt in your mind because there's going to be a million investors that tell you no. I
No.
mean,
Yep.
till this day, Richard, I'm self-funded. I feel very appreciative that I have been able to work in corporate to be able to self-sustain this.
Hmm.
But there is going to be a cutoff point that
Right. Of
not
course.
going to be possible, right?
Hmm.
So you have to continue to put yourself out there when there is no after no after no. Um, but also there is a power. We were talking about networking, and I just shout out Raja.
Right.
Believe it or not, it was a simple conversation. And there is people out there that's going to believe in your mission and believe in your story and honestly believe in you.
Yeah.
Right?
Even
Outside
more
of the
so.
company, outside of whatever you're trying to build, they believe in you as a human and
Mhm.
they're going to invest their time. They're going to invest their energy to help push you forward. And believe it or not, those people and those little nibs, I'm gonna have to call her after this today because it's getting me a little bit emotional.
That's okay.
Um,
Yeah.
it really pushes you more than you know.
Yeah.
But in terms of my tidbit is I would say one is a sense of self. Whatever you're creating, whatever um, you're doing, right? I would say really, it should really embody your mission and your values. I believe like branding is cool and all of this, like aesthetic and all of that is cool and great. But I
Sure.
think identity plays a real big part. Just know who you are. Um, know who you are and stand true. There's a lot of mimics and there's a lot of things on social media. And there's like sometimes too, they're like, maybe you're not creating like you're creating maybe another makeup brand or bathing suit brand and you're like, hey, there's a million of other
Billion of
people
these.
doing
How can I
this.
stand out? Yep.
And like, how do I stand out? And it's like being you, your mission, and just there is no one that can replicate it. And this is like a really big saying that I say also on just my podcast as well, is that God fearfully made you. And like
Ah,
I know anyone's religious background, but like I like to mention that even a twin doesn't share the same DNA as you. So
right.
like you are like fearfully made as yourself. So just embody that,
Embody
own
that.
that.
Yeah. Grab onto that. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I think the authenticity that you're preaching, for lack of a better word, Samira, is so important here, right? And this notion of like, I love that what you just said, like your unique DNA blueprint is your unique DNA blueprint. And that's what you have to sell. And that's what you have to offer that no one else in the world has. So really, really lean into that, right?
I
Yeah.
would say too, half the time where I get into rooms where I'm like, I cannot believe I'm in this room, it's because people are like, this girl is so fearfully loud about who she is and who her value is, and just myself in general. And I believe that goes such a long way, and
Mm,
people can read through the lines. Like, if you're not being true to yourself, if you're not being authentic, I think really people can grasp that even now with social media and like short form content. Like,
yeah.
you have like 30 seconds to show who you are in videos and
Mhm.
people can tell if you're being inauthentic. Like
Absolutely. Right
you
away.
have to really just try in a world that is like, I mean, there's overconsumption and stuff, but there's also overconsumption of just like data and like
Yeah.
social media content that we're
Yeah.
just consuming on a daily basis. And it's like, how do you remain you in all of this?
It's so amazing that you just said that, Samir, because I'm not going to out the person, but there's an influencer that I've paid a lot of attention to over the last several years, and very recently I have seen this marked shift in her
Mm,
content to content that I know is just not authentic anymore. And to your point, you can just tell. I see the content, I'm like, this is no longer her. This has
yeah,
become a very inauthentic, very almost plastic sort of thing that's happened. And it's saddening, but okay, I'm not shaming her, right?
yeah.
It happens, but it's saddening. So I really appreciate what you're saying about that motivation, if you will, to
Yeah.
stay authentic. Yeah.
I think it's really easy, right? Because you want to
Mhm.
get the likes and you're like,
Yeah,
maybe I'm not getting the
absolutely.
numbers, right?
Right.
Like, I get that. But I think like my whole mission too is like, right, I don't have millions of followers. I don't have millions of followers, but I
Right.
do know the audience that I have built. And whether it's 1,000 people, it's 500 people viewing, 10,000 people viewing, right? Like imagine the one person that you're making an impact. And
Right.
sometimes you have to sit down and think, right? If 500 people were like, and people don't think about this, they're like, 500 views, what is that? 500 people were standing in front of you right now, you would be like, wow,
Wow. Right.
that is.
No, it's very true. Imagine putting 500 people in this room, in your room, right? It's crazy to think about.
We would be on top of each other because they're.
You have this infectious energy, Samira, and like I said, I've watched you on social. I see how busy you are with the podcast, with your hustle on the corporate side, with FetchFits. Where's the energy coming from?
It's a great question. I have seen my mom sacrifice everything for me.
Mhm.
I mentioned a product of 7, I have my sisters, I have my brothers that look up to me.
Yeah.
Um, and that energy comes from wanting to be a role model for them. It comes from also the problem that I'm solving, right? I'm like, I once used to be in these shoes, and
Mhm.
just having that empathy, having that, if I can change one person's life, just one, I have done my job. And I think
Absolutely.
that makes me want to wake up and be better and wake up and show up, even though sometimes I want to pull my hair out. Richard knows I have maybe 20 iterations of this pitch deck. And I'm
Yep.
like, it's still not good enough.
Not good. Yep. Yep. V20 coming up. V21 coming up.
V21, V22. And I'm like, um, I do think that, right, there's a lot of power in knowing who you are, your culture, who you stand for. I represent a flag. And maybe I want to take a moment to speak about what's going on just with the
Sure.
immigration
Sure.
and just what's happening in today's society. I'm not going to speak too highly and get very political,
Right.
but it's impacting millions of people's lives.
Mhm.
And if we were in the current state, and my mom came in to America during this current state, I can tell you, this wouldn't be the Samira Francois that you're talking to today. So I
Right.
want people to really empathize and think outside of themselves,
Mhm.
because my mom coming to America when she was 17,
God
coming
bless her.
from Haiti,
Yeah.
has really built. She didn't allow our socioeconomic status. She didn't let where we came from impact us, but
Mhm.
has driven me, and I am very proud to rep the Haitian flag and proud
I know that.
of the resilience. It has made me tenacious. Um, so I keep fighting for that too.
Yeah.
So it feels like, it's
Yeah.
like a cape of like a Haitian flag that I'm repping, but it's a big part of who I am.
It is, and I was gonna ask you a little bit about, the why here, Samir,
Yeah.
but you've actually just done a beautiful job articulating the why. It's so many things I feel that are your why. As we've talked about, it's the inclusivity and the affordability and the sustainability and all of that, but it's the authenticity, it's repping who you are and who you came from. And I asked you, what keeps you going and where's your energy coming from because you've got so many ventures. But it seems to me like that why is just being true to who you are and where you came from.
Yeah, 100%. And
Yeah.
I think one thing I'd like to know is sometimes, right? Because I know you mentioned that I have that word, maybe too many ventures, right?
Yeah.
Excuse me. I have, yes, I have a lot going on, but I think for any woman or anyone listening to this, and especially too growing up and with social media, they tell you niche down or like just
Right.
focus on one thing.
Right.
Um, Believe it or not, I feel like my power is in the multiple things that I'm doing.
I love it.
Doing the podcast, and believe it or not, they all cohesively come into this story and come in together. When I'm
Yep.
on the mic and I'm talking and I'm, you know, showcasing women's stories,
Mhm.
it really coincides with what I'm building with FetchFits, right?
Yep.
And being a corporate girly, honestly, like your girls needs to make money some way, shape, or form. So it all
It
cohesively
all
comes
cohesively
together.
comes together. Yeah, I
And I
love it.
just think that there's power in that. When someone tells you to just focus on one thing, like I get that there's power in just focusing one thing and being 100%, but I believe there's also power in like doing your multiple passions. I didn't mention this, Richard, but I
Yeah,
also have a double major in communications.
nice.
And I thought like I originally wanted to go broadcasting route. And I thought I really thought that I had a knack for it. I loved talking to
Mhm.
people, and I loved, whether it's finding the exclusive or just
Right.
like being that person to storytell. I really loved it. But when I saw their salary, I was a little bit nervous out of college. If I'm being honest, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was able to buy my mom a house at 25,
Oh,
that I'm
beautiful.
standing in today, but,
That's
like, there were
lovely.
certain goals that I knew I wanted to do,
Uh-huh.
and I felt like I wasn't going to be able to do that. So I feel like the podcast also is a way that's fulfilling, um, it's fulfilling my dream of being a storyteller and sharing, the world through my eyes, um, that I felt like I didn't really have the opportunity or choice when I was a senior in college.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I wanna put it right there to rest. That's gorgeous. I don't think we can get any better than that, Samira. But let's get some plugs in. So we got to
Yeah.
get FetchFits. That's a really important thing we need to plug. We also need to plug Batty Besties. How can we find both these things?
Yes, so FetchFits, you can find it on the App Store and Google Play Store, and you could just spell Fetch and Fits, one word. Batty Besties, you can find it on all streaming platforms, wherever you stream your podcast, as well as YouTube. And you can find me personally on Instagram, LinkedIn, Samira Francois, or Samir Sabatini Francois. Honestly, anyone that wants to connect, please, please, please send me a message. I don't bite, I promise. And I would love to connect with you all.
Thank you. That's beautiful. Samir Francois, thank you so much for your time this morning. It was a delight to talk to you. I can't wait to stay in touch with you, continue to see how FetchFits grows, how Batty Besties continues to grow, how you continue to grow. So
Thank you,
thanks so much
Richard.
for coming on and
I'm giving
spending
you an
time.
air hug.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.